global history is studded with bloody, tumultuous times, and none more so than the Tudors. This 118-year dynasty was marred by turmoil, pestilence, and war. But though it may seem like ancient history, we're still surrounded by the buildings and artifacts from that time, from plague pits to playhouses, many of which have gained a spooky reputation. Evidence of the paranormal has been captured within these ancient walls, be it an unexplained face in a picture or a mysterious voice in the shadows. Capturing proof that the terrible Tudors still walk among us once proved elusive, but not anymore. The modern world is full of cameras and smart technology that have helped investigators and eyewitnesses to record and document a wealth of evidence that they believe is genuine proof of paranormal activity. We've recruited an army of experts to analyze and scrutinize some of the most jaw-dropping reports from around the world.
Oh, holy...
No.
Is that a person?
Have we finally managed to explain the inexplicable? This is Paranormal Captured. Tonight, we discover dark secrets lurking behind the walls of a museum in Stratford.
We know that this building has a genuine Shakespeare connection.
And investigate a Tudor house plagued by paranormal activity.
It's a real hidden gem here. I definitely get a weird vibe about the building.
To sort the afterlife from the real life, we'll turn to our panel of expert psychologists
I would love there to be concrete proof.
and some of the most experienced investigators from the paranormal world.
You want something to be there. The adrenaline's got to be pumping.
I want to separate fact from fiction.
All hoping to bear witness to the paranormal captured on camera.
You're in for a good night.
Across the globe and throughout history, unexplained events, from UFOs to shadow figures, have driven people to try and prove the existence of the otherworldly. But capturing definitive evidence has often seemed impossible until the advent of modern technology. In China, this strange footage was captured on a CCTV camera, monitoring a bustling city centre highway. Could this be the actions of a playful spirit? Or perhaps a mere trick of the wind?
That one is a bit intriguing because the way it comes up at first looks like almost like a whoosh, something in the middle is pulling it up.
It looks compelling, but there's probably a really simple explanation.
It is a blanket, right? Or some sort of fabric? Or plastic? Or something like that? Some sort of sheet? Tarpaulin?
Rather boringly, that could just be a gust of wind that's causing something that actually shouldn't be in the middle of the road to ramp up and swirl around.
It looks like it's pulling against the pole, like the top is attached to the pole and it's come down like it's the base for something. The wind's just caught it.
But then it just keeps on moving and spinning. There doesn't look like there's any place to rig something up because a person would have to be all the way across either side of the road or it'd be too dangerous. Strange. I'd say it's paranormal because I can't explain it.
Divorced, beheaded, died. When we think of the Tudors, terrifying tales of maniacal monarchs and public executions come to mind. So it's little wonder that many claim that the echoes of these events can still be felt today in the form of paranormal activity. Capturing definitive proof of the Tudors' ghostly legacy has become something of an obsession for paranormal investigator Danny Moss.
I've got a big fascination with Tudor buildings. I always want to investigate them no matter where they are. and I've had some incredible paranormal activity occur in these buildings, and I just think it's due to not only the age of them, but the historic events that would have unfolded during those times. These memories, they imprint on buildings. It's just a really interesting time in English history, and I do believe the memories of those times still exist today.
And Tudor World, in Stratford Upon Avon in the United Kingdom, is no exception. This 16th century coaching house, once owned by an acquaintance of William Shakespeare and often frequented by the bard himself, is today a museum paying homage to all things from this time. The long, dark history of the building and the stories associated with it captured the imagination of John Ford, the museum's current owner, from the minute he walked through the door.
This is where the spirit of John Davis has been known to show himself. He was a serial killer and rapist. He normally picks on women. He tries to intimidate people. People feel that they've been touched. They can smell his breath.
Strange odours and unexplained touches aren't the only things to have convinced John the museum is haunted.
During one particular séance in this room, the group were carrying out the usual bit, holding hands, trying to build up energy. One of the group took a photograph. Afterwards, when they reviewed the photography, they spotted a figure of a man standing behind one of the guests, taking part in the séance. Now, we believe that may be the spirit of John Davis.
To be honest with you, what I think's going on there is that a dust particle is obviously got in front of the lens. Unfortunately, it's turned into a face. The eyes try to determine exactly what they're looking at. So there's nothing paranormal about that picture in my books.
Typically, when you see pictures of apparitions, they're shadow figures. That one was more solid, and I find that compelling, but at the same time, that's also one of the reasons I'm not so sure about it.
If you don't pick up the energy yourself at the time, and suddenly find that there's something that appears really weird and anomalous, it's quite scary for some.
Whether you were murdered, executed, or killed off by disease, life expectancy in the 16th century was incredibly short. Perhaps that's why, some 40 miles north in the UK, at Graiseley Old Hall in Wolverhampton, the supposed spirits of small children are said to haunt this crooked Tudor building. Paranormal investigator Phil Barron has been unearthing the hall's rich history for years.
From Tudor times, there's always been the thought that there's been children in here, that they can hear footsteps and giggling, playing around upstairs in the rooms, and that's actually come through all the way through a lot of the times that people have been here.
Continuing his fascination with all things Tudor, Danny has come to Graiseley, keen to see if he can capture this phenomena on camera.
Oh, wow. This is a very atmospheric room. Tell me about this.
It certainly is. So this room here is one of my favourites. It takes on a whole different persona when it's sort of dark at night. We've done quite a lot of Ouija board in here where we've had things come through asking us to leave. You can get a really foreboding feeling that there's people walking around and they're watching you. It really gets tremendously dark. You can't see your hand in front of your face.
So would you say some of the activity in here is quite negative?
I'd say it's definitely negative activity in here. We've never got round to who actually it is. They don't seem to want to tell us who they are, but they're happy just to let us know that they're around us.
Are we talking male, female?
Male. Usually stands in one of the corners and just literally watches you and then walks around you as you sat around the table.
Okay, that is interesting. I think it would be very beneficial if we came in here later on and see if we can get any crystal clear communication coming through.
Absolutely, I think it's a good idea.
Next, Phil and Danny head upstairs to another room said to be a hive of paranormal activity.
Okay, Phil. Tell me about this bedroom.
So this bedroom is where the poltergeist activity has been witnessed, where things have been moved. We've had trigger objects that you've actually physically seen move in front of us. We've heard children playing in here. We've heard footsteps on the corridor outside that we're assuming are children. And you can even sometimes feel the floor sort of like vibrate, which is just so weird.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, I really do get some kind of sense about this room. It's quite strange. I think it'd be beneficial to do some interesting experiments to try and trigger the children in here later. Maybe try and interact and pull them into some kind of game.
I like to think of myself as an amateur historian. Tudor period is my favorite of all. So I'm very jealous that Danny got to investigate there.
Tudor locations have seen everything. They've seen wars, they've seen weddings, religious persecution, they've seen so many different things over the years. And so they tend to be a hotspot for activity.
There's so many layers of history in a Tudor building. So I'm super excited to see what Danny comes up with here.
As night falls on Graiseley Old Hall and Danny begins his investigation, will the legendary Tudors live up to their terrifying reputation?
Phil, I'm freezing. Really don't feel good.
Capturing evidence of the paranormal has always proved elusive, but the advent of modern surveillance technology has helped highlight phenomena investigators of old might have missed. In March 2021, teachers at a school in South Africa heard strange noises coming from an unused classroom. When they checked the CCTV to discover the origins of these ominous sounds, they saw something that they couldn't explain.
I love that.
It looks inexplicable and surprising, and I'm wondering, well, how did that happen? So it is interesting, and it has piqued my interest, but I would be looking at all the other variables before I put it in the pile of the, it's the paranormal.
I don't think it was rigged. Something could yank it that way, but it would have also hit desks all around it.
The fact that nothing else moves in this clip and it's just this chair that launches off the desk, it tells me that, it's not something natural.
Shakespeare's plays are filled with bloody murders, vengeful spirits, and evil witches. To this day, the legacy of these ghostly tales are retold in classrooms the world over. At Tudor World, in Stratford Upon Avon in the UK, the alleged stalking ground of serial killer John Davis, it's claimed the echoes of this turbulent period can be heard within its dark walls to this very day. The building has ties to the Civil War, the Black Death, and the world's most famous bard.
We know that this building has a genuine Shakespeare connection. And if you walk on those cobblestones outside and fall, you'll be safe in the knowledge that you've fallen over on the same cobblestones as William Shakespeare when he was drunk.
It was this history that compelled paranormal investigator Phil Measy to explore the spooky location.
We started to investigate around about 8 o'clock in the evening. For the first hour and a half, nothing. But when we walked in here and the stillness of that room was really eerie, it's like almost like the air got sucked out of the room. It was just that horrible feeling that almost like you're not alone in here. And that's when we said, let's do the EVP.
John Davis, serial killer, mass murderer.
Wow, that is seriously clear.
Wow, you can hear that clearly.
I can't hear anything. That is the nature of these auditory examples of pareidolia. So sometimes if you've been primed about what's going on there, you'll look out for what it could sound like.
Serial killer, mass murderer.
He's hearing this person direct this question to him and saying, like, who's there? Perhaps the spirit is seeing him as a shadow, or maybe just hearing his voice.
Class A, EVP, it's got a response. That would freak me out anyway, just the fact that you've got someone going, you know, who's there?
Whether or not that's John Davies, I'm not so sure, but somebody responded.
I've always hoped, after all these years, that it is John Davies, and we literally caught him in the act of maybe doing something, and that's why he said, who's there?
Museums aren't the only buildings to connect us to our past. Historic houses such as Graiseley Old Hall in Wolverhampton in the UK are a lasting remnant of the Tudor era. Danny Moss is drawn to the location because of its fascinating past and its spooky reputation. He's beginning his investigation in the main room, where former residents of the hall are said to still linger.
Here we go, nice fire roaring. What I want to do straight away is leave this locked off camera here for the rest of the investigation. I'm going to set up this Mel meter here as well, and I see that you've got the REM pod, which I think would be a great idea to add to the centre of this table.
Yeah.
And basically what this will do now is document any strange fluctuations in the electromagnetic field.
With the Mel meter set, and a REM pod measuring any significant changes in temperature, Danny starts by trying to connect with the former occupants of the house.
I would like to address the residents of this magnificent home, this beautiful house. But I am a visitor here, and I have come here tonight to talk with you.
And it isn't long before something catches his attention.
Did you hear that?
Upstairs.
Okay, crew, we've just heard footsteps upstairs. I knew from the second I walked in this house tonight that there is something about that upstairs area. Now, you'll fully agree with me, there is nobody in that room.
There isn't, absolutely not.
Could I hear you loud and clearly, please? Run up and down for me.
The REM pod flashed blue, so that's the temperature going down.
This is really quite bizarre that we're getting such temperature drops in a room that there is a fire kicking out heat. Got 2 crew members here, you and me. It just should not be happening.
No, I agree.
What was that?
That was definitely in the hallway there.
Yeah. Hello? Please enter this room. That door opens now, Phil. I'm gone. I'm done.
Come and talk to us, we can hear you. It's upstairs again.
Upstairs again.
What we look for on investigations is having one piece of equipment back up an experience or another piece of tech. So when you have a drop in temperature and then you're having the noise that 2 people are hearing at the same time, that's definitely something worth looking at.
You're in an old building, and so there's wood, there's the expanding, the contraction. It can sound like the interpretation for them of footsteps above, but it's the building doing its thing, it's living, it's breathing.
Hearing footsteps above you when you know that there's no one in there, that's the sort of evidence that you're looking for to, get your old gears firing up. You want to start off investigation like that.
Having experienced temperature drops in the main room and strange noises elsewhere in the house, Danny decides to move his investigation upstairs to one of the hall's eerie bedrooms. But can he make direct contact with the alleged spirits of Graiseley before the night is out?
Now, because we are in...
For centuries, tales of bright lights and strange shapes in the sky have circulated around the globe. Now, with the help of modern technology, it's finally possible to capture these otherworldly occurrences on camera. In 2016, a bizarre spherical object was filmed by a police helicopter flying 1,000 feet above the Bristol Channel. Confused, officers said the mystery craft was flying against the wind and was undetected by air traffic control. Stranger still, the UFO was only captured on thermal cameras, as it was invisible to the naked eye.
Is it flying or is it dropping? I can't make that out.
Great piece of footage. This stuff excites me. Whether it's extraterrestrial craft, I can't say 100%. And the fact that the police have actually come forward with this footage also lends a bit of weight to it. Very good piece of footage.
It's really interesting that you can't see it with the naked eye and they're picking it up, so it can't be a drone. It's definitely got to be paranormal, a UFO, unidentified flying object. And again, paranormal means you can't explain it as normal, so.
I think it's part of the human drive to discover what else is out there. So I think we all have that within us, and we're all susceptible to suggestion. That is who we are as human beings.
Tales of spooky Tudor sightings have spread across the country for centuries, especially in ancient locations tied to the time. In the UK, at Tudor World in Stratford Upon Avon, mysterious mists, disembodied voices, and unseen touches are just some of the paranormal activities visitors claim to have experienced. On one particularly creepy evening, investigators captured what they believed to be the image of a spirit in flames.
There is one entity, a little girl, she's seen as an urchin and a pickpocket, and she touches people's clothes, coattails, etc., and jewellery. But she did come to an untimely end when she was badly injured in a fire.
Could this be a terrifying echo of the past? Or merely a trick of the light?
Is it some form of potential lens flare going on, or it's just blurred slightly on the camera because someone's moved it ever so slightly as they've taken the shot? So there could be a couple of things that could cause that orangey glow.
I've had this myself where I've got something that looks like flames. I don't know whether it's an artifact from, you know, another light source coming into the camera lens, but it ties in neatly with the story of the girl in flames. So it could be, you know, evidence of the young child being captured on film.
I don't think this is paranormal. I think this could be caused due to a very slow shutter speed on the camera. It could very well just be some light reflecting off something with some slight movement, and voila, flaming ghost girl.
Another Tudor building renowned for its paranormal activity is Graiseley Old Hall in Wolverhampton in the UK. This little-known gem, once owned by a wealthy wool merchant named Richard Ridley and his wife Margaret, has been dogged by unexplained activity for decades. Now paranormal investigator Danny Moss is conducting an investigation into the eerie events that took place at this relic from a Tudor age. After a promising start to the investigation.
What was that? Is there somebody stood here with us now? Is that you there?
Danny is heading upstairs to the bedroom, where he hopes to identify the cause of the strange noises he and Phil heard coming from above them earlier. Using a piece of equipment called an ovulus device, he hopes to pick up on fluctuations in the electromagnetic field and changes in the surrounding environment.
I'm going to arm the Ovulus 5 right now, but I'm going to put it into motion detector mode.
Okay.
And as you will see, it will start to give a flat line, and any knocks and bangs, you will get spikes in the waveform. Children of this house, I would like to play a game that you would really enjoy. All I want you to do is step into this room and come and knock on this fireplace here. Just like this. You see me do it 3 times. Can you do it 3 times? Children, is it you that move things around up here? Could you go and sit in the chair? We've just got to tap. Can you tap again? Don't be shy. Play this game with us.
It's almost that they don't want to do it when you ask. They want to do it to play the game when you're not looking.
Yeah.
Are you playing games with us, children?
Maybe if I turn my back to it.
Oh, you go.
There we go, tap.
That happens a lot. The minute you're talking to somebody else or your back is turned and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. They seem to like to toy with you or are telling you, no, on our terms, not yours.
So he moves, and I'm quite concerned that maybe, given that it's an old building that is affecting that mantle, that could cause it to look as though there are spikes from activity.
It is a tap that's there. Where it came from and what it is, though, isn't necessarily what they're interpreting it to be.
After a positive call and response session using the ovulus, Danny decides to arm the spirit box, which pumps white noise out into the atmosphere in the hope that this will act as a trigger for paranormal activity.
Here we go. What is it you wish to do? Are we welcome here in this house? Hear a male's voice there. Don't know what it said. Again. Speak clearly, please.
Spirit, do you want us out of this house? Do you want us to leave?
Whoa! It's like, Who are you? I want for you to come up to here now, come up into this room and speak directly to me. Me. Yes, you. What is your name? Speak clear. A woman's voice. Who are you, madam? Now, because we are in, I swear that's just said a child.
I thought that's what it said.
In order to better understand the noises coming through on the spirit box, Danny attempts some Tudor language.
I beg thee, speak.
No, I thought that said for king.
As in for king.
The king, yeah. Okay.
You could be dead right there.
The for king response, that's pretty clear. It seems to be in the same vocal tone as the first response, saying for king. So that tells me that it's not radio bleed through. It seems to be an entity that is trying to communicate.
Before I get pulled into the drama that's unfolding, my question is, what is a spirit box? How does it work? So that's how I'm looking at this setup. Because if I ignore the spirit box and what it might stand for, this is really intriguing.
You could definitely hear the same voices coming through, and you could hear what they were saying, which was, again, amazing. So there's some strong energy that he's dealing with at this location.
Okay, so whatever was trying to break the frequencies of the SE6 spirit box there, it wasn't clear what was coming through. A woman's voice at one point, it did sound like she said, for king, and a definite male's voice coming through. It just feels very, very flat and calm up here at the moment.
It felt like the energy built, like you said, and it's whether we've used it on the box, I don't know, but it's gone.
The atmosphere seems to have dissipated in the bedroom, but are dark forces lurking in the rest of the house, waiting for Danny to discover them? Capturing evidence of the supernatural has long drawn investigators and amateurs to sites of significance all over the globe, hoping to prove once and for all that the realm of the spirit really exists. In 2017, at a cemetery near Trowell in Nottinghamshire in the United Kingdom, one paranormal investigator believes he may have captured a Tudor spirit on camera. The cemetery itself is located in an area that was beset by a virulent pestilence known as the Plague during the 1600s, which claimed countless lives.
That's a very interesting piece of footage. A little bit difficult to debunk straight off hand.
I would expect an area where there were a lot of plague victims to have a lot of paranormal activity because it was a traumatic event that occurred.
Once you give a place that level of subjective emotion, people will come and people will look for something to verify that story.
The camera is trying to focus on what's out there for security purposes, or it's just a night vision handheld camera. It's just taking shots of him all the way over there. And actually we've got these insects at play that's producing this, what appears to be ghostly image.
I would expect to see apparitions, hear voices, a lot of different types of activity there.
One Tudor residence with a strong reputation for paranormal activity is Graiseley Old Hall in Wolverhampton in the UK. Over the decades, this atmospheric old house has been beset by inexplicable occurrences. Investigator Danny Moss is on the hunt for proof that long-dead spirits still haunt these halls.
That's a significant temperature drop.
Danny is now set up in the scullery room. Said to be the most active area in the building, some believe it is the home to a malevolent entity who lingers in the shadows.
Okay, Phil, this is the room I've wanted to hit as soon as we came in here tonight. This is a really, really interesting room. Now, you were saying the manifestation of this possibly negative entity manifested in this area over here, is that correct?
That's right, yeah. It was stood in the corner here, a male entity really being foreboding, watching over everybody.
With a temperature pod set to detect any atmospheric changes, Danny also plans on conducting an Estes session. He'll be listening to white noise on a spirit box while wearing headphones which block out any external sound.
Now, the Estes method is something that I really swear by because it takes out all the imagination stuff. I'll have no idea what you're calling out. I won't be able to see you. I'll be fully blindfolded. All my senses will be gone and I'll just relay back anything that comes through at all. Should we do it?
Brilliant. Let's do it, yeah.
Cool. Okay.
With Danny unable to see or hear, Phil attempts to communicate with any potential spirits in the room, hoping they'll respond by using the white noise as a conduit.
So I'm calling out to the spirit that was in this room, the negative entity that we picked up on previous investigations. I'd like you to come and step forward and come and talk to us. Be brave.
Just had a bit of speech from a male come through, very, very brief. I couldn't make out what it said.
Okay, Spirit, if that was you trying to communicate with us, thank you.
Oh my God. I've gone really cold. I'm freezing. My hands are like ice.
Spirit, are you affecting Danny? Show him some respect and tell him your name. Really love to hear your name, please.
Thank you. Woman's voice, thank you. Freezing.
The male entity, please step back away from there. Let the lady in, please. I'm asking you politely, we're showing you respect. Please step forward and speak to us yourself, or let the lady...
You stop! Man's voice, you stop! Oh my God, that was clear as day. You stop!
What a great start. Love it.
Do you not want us here, Spirit? I'd really like you to come and keep talking to us, or let somebody else come through. Please speak to Danny, speak clearly.
I am. Male voice, I am. Oh, come on. I can't stop moving, I'm that cold. This is so weird. My face is boiling hot.
Spirit, can I ask you just to step back from Danny for a minute? Just step back away from him, please.
No. Man's voice, no. Same man's voice as before. It was definite, crystal clear.
That is amazing.
We're here to investigate this beautiful property and speak to its inhabitants, the spirits.
Oh.
Are you going to come with us during the night round the house?
Where? What? Again, where? Phil, I'm freezing. Really don't feel good. Getting a headache and everything.
They are very aggressive sounding, very belligerent. I don't want to kind of an attitude, and I love that.
It is quite common on investigations where you have a dominant spirit that's coming through who is quite forceful, and they can be quite loud and have their moments in the spotlight.
Nothing specific is coming through, except for responses and things such as, no, you stop. We haven't got names, we haven't got dates, we haven't got people sitting down and having a clear chat.
With Danny exhibiting discomfort, Phil attempts to intervene.
Spirit, I'd really like you to step back, please. Step back from Danny. So we can...
Go there.
Can you go and stand in the room in the corner over there? If you stand next to that machine, we'll hear that you're there because it will make noise.
Phil, sorry if I've interrupted you. Whatever it is that is round this table, this is not me. I'm trying to debunk it. I am absolutely frozen and I'm getting a really bad headache and I keep feeling like vibrations. How? Woman's voice, whoa. She sounded like she was crying. How? Something really, really nasty. Like it's got a nasty voice and it keeps trying to break the free. Ask them to say that again.
Spirit. Thank you.
Did you see? Oh, it was clear as day. Full-on string of words, bypass the frequency. Did you see?
So I'm hoping that's the entity. Danny obviously can't hear me.
That's me. Clear as day. That's me.
Okay, thank you.
Said it in like that playful kind of, that's me. Whoa. Clear as day.
Oh my God, I got goosebumps.
This is a very, very impressive Estes method experiment taking place here.
The responses that he's giving through the spirit box are so in tune with the questions that are being asked. That's one of the best Estes methods ever that I've seen.
It appears to be a back and forth between whoever's talking to or communicating with Danny and Phil. What I'd like to see is this experiment done again, but with Phil in a different room, and see if we get the same back and forth.
With a number of spirits said to reside in the scullery room, and after a dramatic start to the investigation, Phil continues his questioning, whilst Danny remains blindfolded with white noise playing in his headphones.
So we've potentially got 4 spirits in here with us. Can you speak to Danny, please?
Man's voice, it just said 3. Oh, no, 5. Oh my God. A woman's voice has just come going and gone, no, 5.
So we have spirits coming through, thank you. Who would like to tell us their name, please?
Who's that? Woman's voice, who's that?
My name's Phil. Tell me your name, please. Tell Danny your name.
But it sounds like Margaret. Margaret. So weird. Sorry, Phil, if I've interrupted you. That I've been like shaking, I'm that cold, that it's like suddenly just started to lift a little bit. What the hell? I'm gonna have to stop this session in a minute because I'm getting a bit freaked out. All the voices have stopped.
To have a lot of interaction where it's like a bustling, busy room of people and everybody trying to talk, that is the investigation we all hope for. It's just, I would have loved to have seen a little bit more control in this session.
I can't explain it, to be honest with you. It doesn't prove the existence of the afterlife. What it proves is there is something otherworldly going on.
That is, okay, it's the best I've seen. That's amazing. Oh my God.
After a dramatic end to an investigation that has included strange noises, temperature drops, and unidentified knocking, Danny decides to wrap things up and call it a night.
So ends another investigation. Really interesting night. The atmosphere seemed to just change quite dramatically, really. I definitely felt like, wow, this could really be one of those investigations that kicks off.
I just feel as if I've been on a bit of a roller coaster emotional journey with Danny and with Phil, so that I need to step back and have a think about what have I just witnessed here. Because if it's just on an emotional level, there's a lot to unpack. But I also need to think about what's going on objectively. How is this rationally possible?
We've seen reports within Danny's time there of temperature changes, had attempts at communicating, and there's a lot of questions that I've put forward and explanations, but there's a lot more questions that I would actually ask as well.
Given the interaction that Danny and Phil had throughout the night, I definitely think there is some form of a haunting going on there. I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more control in place to make sure that Danny wasn't being influenced at all.
It has completely blown my mind, or to use my favorite English word, I'm gobsmacked over the investigation.
I think we only scratched the surface tonight. I really do believe that this house has more to offer. I'd love to return one day and hopefully delve into its secrets even more.
The brutal and bloody legacies of the Tudors persevere to this day in Graiseley Old Hall and Tudor World in Stratford Upon Avon, with those who visit these atmospheric buildings convinced that tortured spirits still linger within their walls. From schoolrooms to stately homes, across the world people are convinced that spirits still stalk the earth. But will irrefutable evidence of the paranormal ever be proved? Or must the Tudors be confined to the annals of history?
This is really quite bizarre.
The hunt continues.
Did you see?